Today I'm going to be using Lollipop. I haven't used this one before, so this will be my first try with it. And I currently have short nails, which I think is a good opportunity for my preference because this is a pretty strong color and very glittery. And I think just for my style, long nails with Lollipop might be a bit much for me. So I have my setup here too. I just put down a piece of blank printer paper so that I can do my nails on top of that, and in case I have any spillage, I don't lose it. I can just pick up the paper and pour it back in. And I also will try as much as I can to do the powder on top of the jar so that any powder that doesn't stick to the base coat, which I've already applied and cured, can just fall right back into the pot. One day I do want to get that pedestal from Sistaco that you just rest your finger on top of, and then any loose powder falls down and gets collected in the bottom of the jar. And you're basically creating your own custom mix with the excess powder. Each different color has kind of a different quality to the powder. So some are more fine, some are more chunky, and I've heard that Lollipop is fairly chunky, which can be more challenging to work with. So we'll see. I'm just kind of dabbing it with this applicator into the base coat rather than brushing it or rubbing it too much. I may do a second coat. I just want to see how this first coat goes after I do the whole hand. And we'll just see, because if I choose to do a second coat, that means I will do another base coat on top of this and cure, and then powder again, and then top coat. And if this feels like enough for me, then I'm just going to do the top coat and cure. And the reason for that is because since Lollipop is in the classic category, so it's a classic shade, it just sticks better to the base coat, which is slightly tacky, and it's a little too the top coat is a little too slippery for it. So I won't get much of the powder to stick to the top coat, so it won't be very effective. But if you're using metallic or holographic powders, it does work with the top coat, and it will give you a different effect applying it on top of a top coat than as opposed to applying it to the base coat. That's another thing that I like about Sistaco is the variety that you can get, because if you have a metallic or a holographic color, you basically could use it those two different ways, and it looks different. And then of course doing only one coat or two coats also makes a difference too. So you get slightly different results. Yesterday I removed my previous manicure, and I can talk about that in a second, but I had just left them undone, and I used that opportunity to do a little bit of cuticle care too. So I moisturize, push the cuticles back, make sure and put some good cuticle oil on, and leave them to do the manicure the next day. And then at the grocery store, loading my groceries into the car, I smashed my thumb and totally broke my thumbnail. So then I thought, well, might as well just trim them all down then. So I think I'm going to continue finishing this hand before I put the powder on the other hand. And I feel like I got good coverage with just this one layer. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the top coat and cure. One other tip that I wanted to share is with the LED light. It's not plugged in because my cord isn't long enough, but just to show you, rather than placing my fingers underneath like this, I prefer to flip my hand over like this and hold the light over it so that I can get my thumb in there more comfortably. Since I have kind of long fingers, it's hard to fit my whole hand under when it's flat like that. So that's what I like to do. And with the top coat too, when you're putting it on over the top of the powder, sometimes you do get some powder on the brush, which can then contaminate the bottle, which I'm not super careful with. I'm sure there's like some residue from other colors inside there that could possibly transfer if I'm using like a white or something where the color can show up. But what I can do is using this printer paper again, just after I'm done with this color, brush the brush on the paper. If I have glitter on the brush, I would just wipe it off on the paper like that, and then it doesn't go right into the bottle. So I'm going to do my top coat, cure, and then see how it looks. All right, so this is after the top coat has been applied and cured, and I washed my hands. And if I wanted this to be super perfect, I think I would do one more layer of top coat because I can still feel a little bit of texture from the powder. So my nails aren't 100% smooth, but that doesn't really bother me, and I think it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to do the other hand now. Here it is, Lollipop. One coat, done classic. I'm going to try and show you in different lighting too.